everyone, and welcome to episode number 13 of a Disney Life podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We are so happy that you're here with us. My name is Missy, and I am joined by my co host, Rachel. Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Missy.
And we also have a special guest on today's podcast. Tammy Whiting will be joining us. Hi, Tammy.
Hello.
Tammy is the author of the unofficial guide to Disney Cruise Line, everyone's favorite cruise guidebook, I'm sure.
I'm
The
sure.
2025 edition is in stores now, and the 2026 edition will be available, I believe, December. Is that correct, Tammy?
Correct. And you can pre-order it now on Amazon and other places.
Excellent. Thank you. So, whenever we're talking Disney cruises, we always think to invite Tammy along with us, which means today is going to be a Disney cruise focused episode. We'll be discussing the options with Palo dining aboard the Disney Cruise Line ships. So, we hope that's something that'll interest you as our main topic today. Later on, we'll be discussing our top 5 things to eat at Palo, as well as having a listener question and a tip of the week. So we appreciate you joining us today and hope you'll enjoy our discussion about Palo. If you've cruised with Disney Cruise Line before, you've probably heard that there are some adult only experiences on board. Uh, the one experience that is available on all of the Disney Cruise Line ships is Palo. There are a few differences ship to ship with what's offered. They do have similar menus, but the names are a little bit different. So, Tammy, I know you've experienced every single one, correct?
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
Oh,
except the adventure. But yes.
okay. Well, no one has experienced that
No,
yet.
right.
So every ship, you're so ambitious. We won't
Yeah.
hold you accountable for the ships that are not yet sailing.
Thank
So
you. Thank
at
you.
the time of recording, the Disney Destiny and Disney Adventure are not sailing. So, for the purpose of this recording, we're talking about the Disney Magic, Wonder, Dream, Fantasy, Wish, and Treasure. So, Tammy, with those 6 ships, can you go through and tell us the difference with their Palo options?
Yes. So on the Magic and Wonder and Dream and Fantasy, all four, it's just called Palo. And that's where it started. And it's called Palo. When the Dream and Fantasy came online, they added in a second adult only restaurant. But Magic and Wonder, Palo is the only option and for adult only. And it is, so the first four, all Palo. The next set, the Wish class ships, so Wish, Dream, Wish, Treasure, and Destiny all have what's called Palo Steakhouse. And on the Destiny, which, as you mentioned, is not sailed yet, it will be the exact same as the other ships. It is there's not a huge difference between Palo Steakhouse and Palo. You take everything you loved at Palo and the basic menu at Palo, and it's pretty much all there at Palo Steakhouse. But they did add some add-on steak options, and they're upcharges. I think the Wagyu was $40 more or something. I'm going to tell you, it was $40 very well spent, but it is an upcharge and you don't tend to find that at the other Palos, but so that's basically what they did. They added some more great steak options at Palo Steakhouse. And then when the Adventure starts sailing, the Palo on board the Adventure is called Palo Trattoria, and it appears to be, very similar. It is interesting. They also have what looks like a pizza window kind of thing outside of Palo, and like a walk up grab pizza there. So I'm very curious if it's pizza like the walk up pizza windows on the other ships, or is this like walk up pizza window and you get Palo pizza, because that is a huge upgrade if so.
If that's
Grape and
offered on the Adventure,
gorgonzola all day long.
yeah, it will be a long line all day.
Well, yes, it will.
Okay, and this is an experience that does need to be booked in advance. So if you're sailing on a Disney cruise, you will be able to book your onboard options based on your Castaway Club status, or if it's your first time sailing with Disney Cruise Line, then you won't have a Castaway Club status quite yet. So your exact booking date will depend on that status. It is highly recommended to make reservations as soon as possible. But have no fear if you can't get exactly what you're looking for or a reservation at all. There usually is a dining team available the day of embarkation that is able to assist with that. It's not guaranteed, but they very often are able to accommodate people. They do save some reservations, I believe. I don't think they're all out there ahead of time. Are they, Tammy?
No, they used to say, secretly only about 50% of them are out there ahead of time, and that number may have changed, but they definitely hold some back for on board.
Okay, so don't be too upset if you can't get your reservation ahead of time. Just try to make that a priority the day that you board the ship to get to wherever the dining team is meeting. It varies with ship. I know it's down at in the Enchanted Garden area on the Dream and Fantasy. I believe it's still, is it up in Luna on the Wish and Treasure up in that area? And where is it on the Magic and Wonder at this point?
It's usually in Scat Cat or French Quarter there. So I always check the app as soon as I'm in the port. I check the app to see where it's gonna be in case it's changed at all, but it's usually right there.
Okay. And if you're not sure where it is, you could always ask a cast member once you board, and they'll be able to direct you to so that you can go ahead and get that reservation secured. Uh, so I will admit that back in my earlier days of cruising, dining here was not on the top of my list. You used to be required to dress quite a bit nicer. Not that I think you should dress informally, because I do have the utmost respect for uh, the delicious meals the chef is preparing, the time and effort that goes into that, the quality of the ingredients, and the wait staff in the restaurant. So I certainly don't think I should go in there in shorts and a t-shirt. Um, but I could remember days of taking my husband's suit along and making sure he had a tie. It's gotten a little more relaxed, which I appreciate. How do you two feel about the current dress code? Let's go through a little bit what's required of that.
Well, I have thoughts a lot on how cruise dress codes have gone in general over the last couple of years. Cruising is a very casual experience, but I do enjoy dressing up a little bit for dinner. Um, but they have definitely changed. They do recommend semi-formal or formal attire. However, they do make the note that dress casual is completely fine as long as it has a polished look. And that is their words, but they make note that dress pants are okay, jeans in good condition. So some of this is a little bit vague because I think good condition can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. But jeans in good condition, collared shirts, dressy tops, and lifestyle shoes. That's I don't know what a lifestyle shoe is, but
I guess it depends on the type of lifestyle you lead.
I guess so, yes. So,
To my husband,
um,
it's his navy blue Hey Dudes.
yeah, which if those are I would imagine those would probably be okay because those you can dress those up. Um, I don't know that Crocs would be necessarily, so but there are the platform Crocs for women. Have y'all seen those?
Oh
Those
my. I
yeah.
don't know if those are appropriate anywhere. And I love Crocs. I mean, I am always in
Well,
Crocs,
they don't have
Crocs, flip
the
flops, Crocs,
toe. They don't
something.
have the toe. It looks like an actual sandal, so, like a
Okay.
platform sandal, yeah, so I would
Well,
imagine
in
those
that case, yes,
yes,
I own a
those are
pair of
probably the
black
only
ones.
Crocs that are okay. They do make note that for brunch, though, dress shorts are okay, but, T-shirts, swimwear, anything that I think that you would wear on the cruise ship, outside of a dining facility would not be okay, so don't show up in swimwear with a cover on it, that's not gonna be okay.
And they do describe this as a sophisticated restaurant, so they expect
Mhm.
you to dress appropriately. So for
Yes.
the ladies, I'm sure with the shoes they're talking strappy sandals, that type of thing is okay. You don't necessarily have to be in a pair of heels to go in there. Um, but I do appreciate that it's all right to go in there. Certainly a collared shirt, I would anticipate for men. I can't imagine wanting to wear something less than that in there, but it doesn't really require you to do a lot of extra packing. And I'm not really sure if they change the dress code based simply on guest preference, or if it also had something to do with the way we see so many extra bag fees now from airlines that we didn't used to see, because it didn't used to be a big deal to have to take an extra garment bag along with you to take your suit or a formal dress. But that's a lot more difficult for people, I think, in the current way that the airlines work and charge fees. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear that that played a role in it also.
That's true. I am a fan of the old dress code. I like everyone having to dress up a little bit to be there and, not seeing shorts and flip-flops and things like that. But it got tricky when they say, no flip-flops, when things like that, when in reality, or no open-toed shoes. But in reality, many women's very nice dress shoes are open-toed. And so
Hmm.
what they really meant there is they didn't want to see men's toes, I think. And so they had to kind of modify it a little bit to be more clear. But then it's gotten more casual over time, which I wish it had stuck, but I also understand not everybody wants to dress up. But it's also an optional restaurant. You don't have to go. This one is, you choose to go
Right.
there, you can choose to dress up a little, I think. But
And if for some reason you arrive and you do not have appropriate attire, as a man, they do have some pants and I think maybe jackets available. Do you know, Tammy? I can remember them having a stash, a limit. Of course, it's a limited amount. They don't have an entire wardrobe for you to choose from, but they will help you out so that you don't need to miss the experience.
they will, and they have shoes, and I bet they still have shoes. I know Remy and Ashante, they have shoes there, if your shoes are
Wow.
completely inappropriate. I'm sure they don't have a huge selection, and you may be wearing shoes that are really big for you, but they do have some.
I may have to
Will
ask
be
about
like
that on my
this.
next cruise. I will not wear the shoes. I'll bring my own, but I am curious now to
Wanna see
see.
them.
Rachel shows up barefoot. Hey, you guys,
Sorry,
washed
I
my
forgot
shoes.
shoes of all things.
But that kind of thing really could happen. Everybody occasionally forgets something when they're packing or a piece of luggage gets lost. So I do appreciate that the cruise line recognizes that and has some items there so that you don't need to entirely miss out on this experience. And I believe are shorts okay for men at lunch, at brunch, but not dinner? Is that still accurate? I
It
think
does
that's
say
the case.
specifically for brunch, dress shorts are acceptable, but,
Okay.
and that is the really only distinction that is made between brunch and dinner as well, and so, and I also know, as Tammy mentioned, the open-toed shoes, there's no distinction between, genders on the dress code either, so, I guess technically I could go in with dress shorts too, so with
Yes,
that, yeah.
absolutely, and they make so many cute little romper outfits and that type of
Mhm.
thing that are dressy and would be appropriate for brunch also.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I have
As
seen
we
other
mentioned,
cruise lines make distinctions between men can wear this and women, or men cannot wear this, women cannot wear this. So I do think that's interesting.
okay, keeping it fair. As we mentioned, this is not a required dining experience and it is available at an upcharge. So you will have an additional charge and you'll need to sign for it at the end of your meal. At the time we're recording this, it is $55 for the brunch. And then there is a fixed price option for dinner of $55 a person, or you're able to order individual items for dinner a la carte as well, if you'd prefer that. And usually it just makes most sense to take a look at the menu when you get there and decide what you feel like eating. And if it makes sense to choose from their fixed price options, if everything that you're ordering is from uh, the fixed price menu, then it'll probably make most sense to just do that option. If not, and you want to break things down a la carte, that's an option as well. So I appreciate that you don't have to tell them ahead of time. You're ordering when you arrive, just like you would at any restaurant.
Mhm. I think I saw something not too long ago that if you added all the a la carte menu items, you would add another $82 to your bill. I can't confirm that. That was the most recent
Okay.
menu that I could find, but I thought that was interesting. That it was, I don't know if I should say only $82 or that it would be an extra $82.
Well, I think it depends on if you've been there before, because certainly if you've been there and you've experienced the quality of not just the food, but the dining experience overall, you would realize it's not really a whole lot more to pay. Uh, and currently when you go out to dinner somewhere, meals are not cheap. You're paying $36 for an entree. at your neighborhood bar and grill in a lot of cities across the country at this point. So, $55 for that full meal, I think is a steal, especially considering you're out to sea and what the food options are and how plentiful they are, especially with the brunch. I mean, the brunch is really an all you can eat type situation.
It is. I think, and we say that in the book too. Brunch is really a better value for that $55 because it's basically unlimited amounts of food. And now that Palo has gone to the prefix or the a la carte, it's not unlimited. If you're adding on things, you're going to pay for those additional things, which, as Missy said, is often worth it. But at brunch, it's modified family style. There's some things on the menu that you can order. Many things they'll just bring out and set in front of you to share with the table, and it's unlimited. You could eat as much as you want. So
Mm.
brunch is a little bit better value if you're looking for a better value there.
And it's also the harder reservation to get because brunch is not served every day of a cruise, right, Tammy?
Correct. Usually only on sea days, but occasionally they'll add it in another port, like on a 3-night cruise that does not have a sea day. They'll add it in on Nassau Day, and sometimes they'll add it in on Nassau Day on cruises that do have a sea day, just because they know how popular it is and how many people are trying to get it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction when you're going in to make reservations for if you already have a reservation for brunch and you want to check other times, you're not going to be able to because it blocks that out for already having your brunch reservation. Dinner is a different story with that, but since brunch is so popular, you will see once you make one reservation that you're going to be blocked out from checking other times to see if you want to change to anything else.
Right, and I appreciate that they do that ahead of time so that one person can't go in there and block a whole bunch of times and hold things up until they determine which it is they want to keep. So the system is smart enough to recognize that and will only allow you to book one dinner and one brunch per sailing.
Yeah, and I will say, once you get on board, that's another thing that you can change. And I think I said, a quick clarification here. I think I said Scat Cat earlier. It's Soul Cat. Scat Cat is on it's on the treasure. Soul Cat is the lounge where you go
Okay.
where you go to make you ask for different, you can ask for different times, you can ask for additional times, and especially on some longer cruises where Palo dinner gets easier to get because there's so many nights of it. Often they have multiple, you can get multiple reservations for it, but you can't do that until you're on board, and you can just go in and say we'd like to eat there, more than once, and there's a lot of food to pick from, so it's not hard to have something different every night, so you're not eating the same thing every night. um but I know people that have been on a 7-night cruise and have eaten a Palo 5 times, dinner 5 times. So,
I
it
know
is
people who have been on a 3-night cruise and have eaten at Palo 3 times before, so
I
but we
know
won't
I
start
know those
throwing in.
people. I know those people.
And, it's worth mentioning, that's the type of thing that once you're on board, if they have the space for you, you're able to work it out. So you're not taking it from somebody else who tried to get it and couldn't get it. It's the type of thing that they'll let you know on board. I think I've even had them before, Tammy, if you go to dining and say, I'd like a second dinner seating, they may not immediately give it to you that first day, but it may show up in your app later on and you may get a call or a message through the app from the dining team to let you know they were able to accommodate the additional seatings.
Right, absolutely. They'll tell you right away, "Okay, I'm not sure, we are not positive, but we'll let you know." And as you mentioned, a 3-night cruise where we happened to eat at Palo 3 times. I believe we boarded that ship without a single Palo reservation and
That's
ended
correct.
up
We boarded that ship. It was a last minute booking, and we said, we are not going to a dining room on this cruise. We are going to eat quick service and buffet for everything. We weren't going to take the time for sit down meals because it was a short cruise.
Mhm.
And then we ate at Palo every day.
3
So,
times. In basically the same clothes because we didn't bring clothes for the dining rooms either.
right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Also that.
Okay.
We were almost shown to the clothes closet, and day three rolling up in the same outfit.
This
There
is
is
why they changed the
laundry.
dress code.
There are laundry options on board Disney Cruise Line. Just want everybody to know that's a thing. Oh, and one thing we didn't mention when we talked a little bit about the cost is that part of the reason we did repeat this was because if you're a Platinum Castaway Club member or Pearl Castaway Club member, you do get a credit for dining at Palo, a $50 credit. So we were able to use that at the time, and that is it
Fif
55 now.
55 now, yeah.
55 now that I'm sorry, it was 50 at the time, and there's been a slight increase in the cost since then. So yeah, $55 credit. Uh, So that helped too, because one of the meals was courtesy of Disney Cruise Line.
Right, so
Uh,
at dinner, you can use that for the prefix and just get the 55 free, or if you spent 85, 100, whatever it is, they'll give you a $55 credit, and then at brunch, you do get $55, it's just free. Brunch is free plus a gratuity, and, applies to everyone in the stateroom. So if only one person in your stateroom is Pearl or Platinum, anyone over 18 in that stateroom can also get a free meal with them at Palo.
yes, I don't think we actually mentioned up until this point that 18 is the minimum age requirement. We had mentioned it's an adult only restaurant, but you need to be 18 years old to be able to dine there.
And they are hard and fast on that. There are no exceptions. There are not like, "But it's gonna be next week." There no exceptions to that.
So, what if you turn 18 during your sailing?
I have seen people say before they were not able to, but in general, I think that was an anomaly. I think in general, you're not going to be able to before you turn 18, but if you're still on the ship at the end of the cruise, you've turned 18, then they should be able to get in.
Okay. It seems like it may be a rare occurrence, but also a lot of people travel to celebrate birthdays. So I wouldn't imagine it's an unheard of
Mhm.
situation either. So that's good to know.
Yeah, and I would
And of
imagine
course,
those have to be made on board
Mhm. Right.
to be able to do
right,
that. Yeah,
right, because the system won't allow you ahead of time
yeah.
to access the reservation for you do book when you book it in the system, you are booking it for each specific guest,
Mhm.
and the system recognizes the age of each guest also. And for guests who are 21 years and older, there is also a wine pairing option that you could pair the wines along with each course of your meal, and that's an additional cost. And then there's also another experience that the three of us have actually experienced together before, and that's the prima notte option. So, this option is available the first night of your sailing. It is not dinner. And in fact, to try to, I think the reason they've done this in order to avoid confusion is this is actually booked under the onboard fund, like an activity on the ship would be booked. It is not booked under the dining option. So some people don't realize it's an option because they don't see it under dining. Um, I'm thinking maybe they put it there because it is not a full meal and they don't want to be misleading. It is currently $85 a person, which sounds expensive, but you do have wine paired with each course. I am a very particular eater. There are more things that I do not like than I do like. But I'm quite sure I ate every course of this small plate meal and enjoyed all of the wine that was served along with it, when I experienced it. What was it, a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe? I think it was we did it.
It would have been a year and a half ago that we did this, yeah, but, you there are 4 courses, but you do get a glass of champagne as well to start out with. So you do have added value in that, and it is they are giving generous pours. It's not like the little if you go to a wine tasting, at
Mhm.
a winery, the little cups that they give you. It was a generous pour on that, but we did start out with a glass of champagne and went through 4 courses together. Also note that we're traveling with a large group, and Missy said that where you can find the reservations, many of us could not find the reservations, and we were very adamant about trying to get this experience. And so, some people were traveling with who boarded first with concierge went, and they were able dining was able to get it sorted out for us, very graciously so. And I have heard, but this is my only experience doing this. So we had a large group. We were set up at tables of 3 to 4, and I would say we probably had about 5 tables at
Mhm.
least.
I think so. Yes, I
Yeah.
think we did.
Um,
Uh, and
and I
this
think
was on the what ship? We were on the Dream
Yes,
for
this is on
that,
the
right?
Dream.
On
Yeah,
Disney Dream.
and I think there was only another couple that was not traveling with us that were taking part in it. So it is a pretty exclusive event. They do keep it small, for I guess maybe for a reason. It felt pretty intimate as far as they were there explaining everything to us in the way and the time and manner that they got things out to us. So it's a pretty intimate evening together as a group, but they do keep it small from what I've heard.
And they do have some non-alcoholic options. So if you're interested in the experience but don't really want to participate in the wine and champagne option for whatever reason, that's an option also. Uh, I know, Tammy, did you say you had Cloudum in there?
I did. I've done it twice, and the first time they were very funny. They made a big show of every course when they're, displaying the wines and telling everyone that was partaking, what the wine, the year, this is the region that it's from, da da. And then they did something similar with my Cloudum, and this is a lovely year for your blue Cloudum, yeah, or your gold Cloudum, and but they kept my glass full the entire for every course. And the second time I was with a slightly bigger well, I think there were 5 or 6 of us at a table. We were at a round table, and they didn't make as big of a show of it, but they still made sure I had plenty of non-alcoholic options during the meal, so
And I loved how they did come around and they took the time to explain the wines to us and the food in
mhm.
a way that we could understand. And that's one thing I love about these dining experiences in the adult restaurants with Disney. I wouldn't really be comfortable at a similar restaurant at home going in there with no knowledge of what was going to be served and what was going to happen. I'm not a very fancy person, and I wouldn't feel comfortable just walking in there and being out of my element. But they have a way about them, those cast members in these restaurants with Disney Cruise Line, that just make you feel comfortable, and they help you to understand what it is. And I just really feel comfortable there. Like I had said earlier in this episode, I didn't always enjoy having to dress up so nice for dinner. That would already make me feel a little out of my element. So the other thing that would make me nervous was I would pronounce something wrong or not understand what something is. I mean, even now I'll like whip my phone out under the table and Google certain words because I don't know what they might be on the menu. This specific restaurant is Italian. I don't know all of the pastas and or all of the sauces and all of the components of each meal. So I appreciate that the cast members take the time to really make you feel comfortable and they truly want you to have an enjoyable experience. So I,
Yeah,
I thought that was in particularly well done with this Prima Notte experience.
I agree, and they had also a display table out, so they put each course, on the display table and then each bottle of wine that was paired with it behind there, so you can go take pictures. If you enjoyed something more than others, you could go and find that later, and I will say, so not only, for those who did not drink alcohol, they had Cloud'em, but somebody at my table preferred whites. We were served 2 whites and 2 reds. That seems to be pretty consistent. I think sometimes they may change out what they are serving in each of those categories, but it seems to be you start out with a glass of champagne, then you're given a white, 2 reds, followed up with a white as well. But one of my table mates said that she just prefers whites. And if they really want to know her preference, it'd be a Moscato. And they served her Moscato all night. So
So
they,
basically juice. She was
yeah,
drinking
she was
juice.
drinking juice. Yes. And I will say that too.
Very sugary juice is
Yeah,
what she had,
The
whoever that
4th
was.
the 4th course, we were given a very sweet white wine. It was almost syrupy. That was my least favorite by all means. It was one of those things, it was like, maybe I should have just asked for another glass of something else, but that was my least favorite, but that was a dessert wine, pair with that, but this was almost like a syrup consistency. It was a thick, sweet
I
white
remember
wine.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't have any trouble drinking that. I thoroughly enjoyed everything exactly as they had it paired. So I think they did an outstanding job with that, of course. But yes, I remember that dessert wine, and that is definitely intended to be sipped very slowly to
Yes.
be enjoyed because
Yeah,
it
that
was
sure was.
very sweet.
Yeah, and you mentioned this is not a full meal. We actually all went out to these reservations were pretty late in the evening, but we had all gone out to the main dining rotation earlier that evening, and I think we started out with some appetizers and maybe had a few bites of our entree, but we made sure to leave room for the experience. But we were not going in hungry because we knew after this there was not really many options to get food from there on out. So we did go and did not miss the main dining room experience because it is an experience that needed to be had too.
And I also want
And
to say
that's a good.
oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tammy.
I was gonna say at the end of the meal, sorry if I'm jumping ahead, they do give you a little, souvenir pin, which is a nice touch as well, a little Palo pin. I don't know if you remember that, but, they were still doing it in November, so I assume they're still doing it.
Mhm. At that not at every meal, but at the prima notte
A prima
experience,
notte,
right?
a prima notte.
Right, right.
Yes.
Uh, and Rachel had touched base on something there I wanna track back to. We did dine in the main dining room prior to this experience, so if your mom and dad out there worried about how are you going to fit this into the schedule, that may be something worth considering. If you have the first seating for dinner, you can go with the kids and make sure they have their full meal and have the experience in whatever main dining restaurant you're in that night. You don't have to eat your full meal. Your server will bring you whatever you'd like from the menu if you just want to have something light to begin with so you have space for the experience later. And then when the kids want to head to the kids club for whatever's going on that night, you can go ahead and head to Palo and everybody's taken care of. So they do have the dining rooms themselves are very similar, but also a little bit different in each class of ship. So they are all found on whatever the highest deck on each ship is, all the way in the back for the most part, right? I know it may not be like the very highest, but it's an upper deck in the aft of the ship for all of these. They all have windows where you can see out if you're there around sunset. It could be an absolutely beautiful view. We had an experience with the sunset during our dinner in June on our Disney Dream cruise. The Dream and the Fantasy also have some outdoor seating areas. I have not often seen people out there. I do not like to sit and eat when I'm hot. It is it just ruins the experience for me. Both of these ladies have heard me whine about it many times, I'm sure, especially Tammy. Just last week, I was whining about her eating in the heat on a ship. But I'm sure there are times that the weather conditions are perfect and just ideal for dining outdoors with an experience like this. So that is an option on the Dream and Fantasy. And I know Tammy has experienced another option on the Magic and Wonder that many people may not know about out in the lounge area. Tammy, can you tell us about that a bit?
Yes, the Magic and Wonder, they're the only 2 ships that have this, but they have a counter, um, that you can it's a wa it's just past as you walk into Palo, it's on the right, it's got a great view of the kitchen. It's during brunch, it's where they used to set, displays of food that you could see to order, with your meal. But now it is just a count at dinner time. It is just it's a kind of a walk-up counter. You can call and tell them you're coming, and they can book it for you. You don't do it till you're on board, but you can anytime go by. You can come early for dinner. You can sit at the counter and have a drink. But you can. The secret here is you can order food. And it's the only ship you can do that on. So you basically can get Palo without having reservations. We did it recently. We did it just a couple months ago. And we could have gotten Palo reservations, but we specifically wanted to try the counter. And so we let them know we were coming a few hours before. And they said they would save room for us. And we sat down, we were given the full menu. We could order anything we could wanted. We could also just order dessert if we just wanted dessert. And but we wanted to do the full meal, and we did. And we sat there and talked to the bartender the whole time. It was really enjoyable. We got a lot of servers stopping by to talk to us, as they were waiting for to help their guest. And we also one tip we were given, if you are going just for the souffle, that it's better to let them know ahead of time, just because the souffle takes so long to cook. I mean, it's a 30-minute. I forget the time they always tell us it takes to cook. So you order it earlier in a meal if you're having a meal. But if you're just going for the souffle, unless you don't mind sitting and waiting for a little while, they said call ahead and let us know. Hey, we would like to come, but we're only going to get the souffle, and they can have it ready for you when you get there, or around the time that you get there. But it's a nice experience, and it's a great option if you can't get reservations.
Okay, good to know. I think that's something that many people may not know about, even those who have experienced these restaurants before. So thank you for that. There's also a private dining experience available at each of these on each of these ships, and it does differ a little bit. Can you run us through, Tammy, and tell us with each class of ship what guests can anticipate if they want to try to book a private table for a larger group?
Yes, it is. There is a form that you or your travel agent will fill out and send ahead of time. They will not assign the private dining room until about 30 days out. So, but I wouldn't wait till 30 days out to send it. I would send it much sooner than that because they will often look at which request came in first. There's different number of guests that will fit in each one because the rooms are very different. And on the magic class, so the magic and wonder, it's a pretty good sized room and it's 8 to 14 people will fit in there. And so, in other words, if you're under eight people, they're going to try not to ever put you in there. Now, I have been in there under when our group was under eight, just because apparently no one else had requested it, and they gave us a nice little dining experience by ourselves. I think there were six of us that time. But if you have 8 to 14, you can request this ahead of time. On the Magic and Wonder, it's a room way back in the corner. Most guests will not even see it unless they were back there. It's got a beautiful wall of windows on one side and a beautiful tile artwork on the other. And there are doors that you can close if your room was particularly loud. I think it is possible that we have had a group of ladies in there once and we've had the doors closed, but not surprising. And but it's open. It's a long I will warn you, it's a longer experience in those private dining rooms usually. They like to make it a whole experience, and it does take a while, and there's a lot of people there, but you generally get amazing servers. All of the Palo servers are amazing, but we've had some wonderful ones in the private dining room. On the Dream and Fantasy, it's not completely closed off, it's more of an open room, but it's a giant table that you will all fit around, and it's 10 to 14 on the Dream and Fantasy. And then on the Wish class ships, it's only 8 to 10. It's a pretty small compared to the others dining room. It's a large, beautiful table, but it's a smaller table than you'll see like on the Dream class. And on one hand, they're very strict about that 8 to 10. And I've been told no before with 12 people because they say no, it's just you're going to get uncomfortable and we want you to have the best experience and they really hate it. But I also have been there. I think we had 13 once on a big family trip. And they pulled me aside and they said we can put you in the and I had not asked for the private room because I knew we had too many. They said we can put you in the private room, but we have to tell you you're going to be very packed in there. And but we don't want to do it unless you really, really want to. And I said, no, no, we really, really want to. We really wanted, it's a very private room. There's glass that people can see inside, but the door is always closed. And so you can have very private conversations, loud conversations, whatever it is. And it's, I love that private room. And we were very happy that they would let us squeeze in there. We were happy to squeeze, but they don't like squeezing you into these elegant dining experiences, which is why they have a certain number of people. I also noticed on the adventure, they have a private dining room at Palo Trattoria, which of course none of us have seen yet, but 10 guests. They have a very specific number. It's not a range there, which is interesting. 10 guests can dine in there.
The one thing I love about the private dining room on the Wish class ships is that it is all the way aft facing back. So you could see the wake from the ship back there. It's a beautiful view looking out from that private dining room on those ships.
It is, and I have seen, sometimes some Facebook groups will organize small groups of people to do it, and I think that's a great way to try it if you don't mind eating with people you may not know well, that they'll try to get a group in that range, 8 to 14, for the classic ships, and 10 to 14. They'll try to get a group together and request it, which is, like I said, a fun way to experience it if you normally travel with smaller group.
Okay. I think it's worth noting. I know a lot of times when people think of a fine dining restaurant, you're thinking you're going to have small portions. So people may be wondering, am I paying this $55 and I'm going to have two bites of steak, or am I going to leave there pretty full? So I can confirm to you that I have quite a large appetite and I have never left there able to stuff another bite of food in my face. Dinner does start with some type of a bread basket. Depending on which meal you're there for, it will vary. Of course, for dinner, it'll be a more traditional bread basket. For brunch, you'll have two different baskets, one with more traditional breads and breadsticks, and the other with more breakfast pastries. They have some incredible almond croissants and chocolate. Uh, there's some type of chocolatey pastry. Um, and maybe a Nutella thing.
It's
I can't even remember what it looks like right now, but I know it's absolutely delicious, and it's so messy that I was not about to pick it up and try to eat it. I had to use a fork because it was messy, but it was delicious. So this is a multi-course meal, and you will not leave there hungry. uh, we are actually going to discuss our favorite parts of the meal itself in today's top five. So I think that we're probably ready, unless anybody else has anything else they think we need to add. I think we're ready to roll into our top five things to eat at Palo.
Think so?
All right, Rachel, why don't you go ahead and start us off then with our top five? And we have, as always, we are super informal here, and we do not go over these ahead of time. We are chatting through these things just like we would if we were sitting at our kitchen table all together here. And so we'll see where this goes. I have a feeling we'll cover quite a variety of the food that's offered at Palo, and just thought it might be better than going by one menu item at a time here. So, Rachel, you're number five.
So my number 5 is the wild mushroom ravioli. This is one of the entrees that you can get with brunch. I do eat meat, I really do, but I like mushrooms. I've always enjoyed the taste. There's, some toasted pine nuts that come with it, and there's a nut brown butter that, it is served in as well. It is a pretty dish to look at. I think that's something to note too, that these dishes are not just thrown together. There is some care put into how they are plated and presented. But, I had the wild mushroom ravioli, I think, when I was on the Wish for brunch, and it was very good and very filling as well, but of course we had other things too. So wild mushroom ravioli is my number 5.
Okay. Well, that one's not on my list.
No.
So, I mean, I'm not one for mushrooms, but that's good to know. How about you, Tammy? What's number five on your list?
Let's see. I think it's a silly one, but I love the bread basket at dinner. And I'm not a huge fan of the first couple of courses as appetizers. I'm not a salad person, and so I'm not a huge fan of those. So I generally, when I don't order something for those courses, they say, "Don't want anything," and I said, "Oh, I'm gonna eat my weight in your bread." Because it's got that like pizza bread, and it's got it's warm when it comes out, and there's other bread in there too that's all delicious, and so I love that bread basket.
Okay. Well, my number five is kind of untraditional when thinking of Palo, but I love the Mickey waffles that they have that they serve with the brunch. These are not the regular little Mickey waffles that you get, and they're not the same as even the large ones that some of the resorts, like last I knew, Caribbean Beach at Walt Disney World still had the large Mickey waffles. These are a nice large waffle, and we actually had a server once recommend us getting them as part of our dessert with brunch because they are pretty filling. If you have that I mean, it's really a meal in itself. Normally, of course, we eat much more when we do an experience like this than we normally would for a meal. But I love that Mickey waffles are an option there. You're still at a Disney restaurant, and they're delicious also. So that's my number five. What do you have for number four, Rachel?
I think this next one probably made some list. I said the chicken parm at brunch. It's a classic dish. That's a very popular dish. And chicken parm is always good, but you seem to get a pretty meaty piece of chicken, and it's Disney just cooks it well. So it's my number 4.
It actually didn't make my list, but
Oh,
I knew it would make someone else's. So I knew we would have the opportunity to discuss it. It is a delicious chicken parm. It's a pretty thin piece of chicken. It cooked perfectly, a little bit of breading on the outside, and it's served over risotto, right? If I remember correctly, yes. And I do, I enjoy that also, but I saved a space on my list for something else.
oh no.
I would
So.
like to say I'm appalled that it's so low on Rachel's and even more appalled that it's not on yours.
We are appalling people, but
Yes.
all right, Tammy. Well, what's your number four then?
Well, chicken parm is coming. I'm not there yet. It's much higher in my list. Um, I think it's a tough choice. I love the filet at dinner. So I think just because of some other things I would put slightly ahead of it, I love the filet mignon at dinner. Um, and so yeah, I put that as number 4.
Okay. Never a bad choice, that's for
No.
sure.
Mm.
So when they start your meal, for I think I'm trying to remember. I guess it was it's brunch where they serve the antipasti, right?
Mhm.
So there's the regular option, which is like the different meats and cheeses, and then the seafood option. I love the tuna that comes with the seafood option. So that is my number 4 on the list.
Well, interestingly, that's my number 3, but I'll
Oh,
take
stop. We'll go right
both
into
both both antipasties. The seafood one and the meat one, I think those are worth going to brunch alone for. And when we were on, and it could have just been, so we were on the Dream did the brunch. We actually had the some of us were in the private dining room, and then there were other tables. I think 2 more tables, maybe 3, right outside of that, because we could still see each other. It's not all that private, but. So I don't know if it's because the sheer size of the amount of people that we had, but those plates were packed full,
Mhm.
much more so than what I remember the Wish being, that the Wish was kind of more spread out and everything, but these plates were packed full. They are so good. Great selections between prosciutto and salami. And then you've got the cheeses on those. But yeah, the tuna is wonderful. There's a crab claw, if I could speak. The lemon marinated shrimp. I love
That's how I
both
feel
of
about that
them.
crab claw.
Yeah,
It gets me all twisted up because I never know how to get into that
yeah,
thing and eat it in a polite manner. So I've wasted so much of it because I just
yes.
kind of like poke at it with my fork because I don't want to go like, ah, like ripping it apart. But that's what you have to do.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you hold it with one hand, start digging at it with the other, but,
That's right.
I both of them. I can't choose a favorite. They're both wonderful and delicious, but I think
Mhm.
that is worth the trip alone to brunch. It's a excellent way to start out your meal.
And again, the portion sizes are very generous. If there is something that you really enjoyed that you would like more of, they will be happy to bring you more. But I caution you to not get ahead of yourself because it is so easy to be full before your entree comes with the amount of food they're bringing you and how good it is. So be aware. You can get more if there's something that if you really love the tuna, but then you may not have room for the rest of your meal or your dessert once it's time. And that would just be
It
terrible.
Yeah.
Sick. We have had a server once caution us against the Mickey waffles. He says, "I know they're wonderful." He said, "But
Hmm.
so much other good stuff, you're gonna get full." And so he would say in his lovely Italian accent, he'd say, "Mickey waffles, no, please, family, no, no, please, family, no."
Yeah, and I do. That's why I enjoy getting the Mickey waffle later on in the meal sometimes. And we won't each order one. At our last dining experience there, I think we had 6 of us, and we ordered one Mickey waffle so everyone could have a couple bites, a bite or two, to get the taste of it. But we didn't want to fill up on just the waffle. All right,
Let's
what are
see,
we
Tammy,
on?
number 3.
3.
Oh, I think it's me.
Yep.
Number 3, the flatbreads at brunch, the pizza, the flatbreads. They're all good. I think you've talked about one of your favorites in there before, the secret on this podcast before, the
We
secret
may
flat.
be getting to it in this top 5.
Well,
We
I
we
won't I won't go into it. I will just say I love all of them.
Mhm. Okay. My number 3 is actually something I had for the first time just this summer while cruising, and it was recommended by one of my favorite servers there, Mariana. I don't know what the pasta is actually called, but I'm calling it ravioli. I can't remember what the actual name is. It's not ravioli. I think they might be like a half moon shaped pasta, but they're stuffed like ravioli, and they're a butternut squash, and they have a sage brown butter on them, and they are absolutely delicious. I love them.
That sounds wonderful. I would
It's
eat
so
that.
good. It's so
I would eat
good.
my weight in that, yeah.
All right, Rachel, on to your number 2.
Okay, I'm just gonna get through this one quickly because I know it's gonna be there. The souffle with, I prefer the vanilla sauce, but the souffle, let's move on because that's probably gonna come back again. But the dinner souffle is amazing, and that is my only dinner menu item on my list, because I do enjoy brunch so much. But the souffle at dinner is a fantastic souffle. I wish I could make a souffle if they could make it on a cruise ship. I don't know why I can't make it at home, but, it's wonderful.
Well, and like Tammy had mentioned, they do need to know ahead of time. The last kind of earlier in your meal, is anybody planning on getting the souffle? There's a chocolate version and also, I believe, still an amaretto version, if I remember correctly, or a Grand Marnier. There's another version of the
There's an
souffle.
Yeah, there's an amaretto version. I've had them say sometimes recently that it wasn't available, but there's an amaretto, and there is a Grand Marnier in the main dining rooms.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. Okay, that's where I got confused there. But yes, it does take them time to prepare, and they do not want to serve it to you if it's been sitting and waiting for you. They are quite exact with things. So, um, it's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
Tammy, what's your number two?
I'm gonna cheat for number 2 and give you 2 because I often order both of them because I can't
Oh,
it's Sophie's choice. I cannot decide which one is better. I love the lasagna and the chicken parm. Both of them are delicious. And I went
two entrees.
I know. I went many, many years with just the chicken parmesan, and Oliver, one of my favorite servers on the Disney Magic, he's amazing, he's been there for years. He said I needed to try the lasagna, and I was like, "Okay, I mean, how good can it be?" And he brought that out just to put it in the middle of our table, and I tried it and said, "Oh, it's the best lasagna I've ever had for sure," and calling it lasagna almost seems unjust because you think of, like, Stouffer's lasagna that you can get out of the freezer. It's a whole different category of food. It's delicious, and so, yes, I sometimes will order both, but the ideal situation is that I will have a friend order the chicken parm and I'll order the lasagna or vice versa, and we can half and half it. Because if they bring me out both of them, sadly, I'm gonna eat both of them, the full entrees, so I try to split both.
All right,
Okay.
Missy, what do you have?
My number two is the item that Tammy touched base on a little bit earlier. We kind of call it a secret item menu item because it is not currently on the menus, but they are able to make it if requested. And that is the gorgonzola and grape pizza, which is not something like. If I saw that on a menu, I wouldn't even consider it. It just doesn't seem like my kind of thing. But I was dining at some point with somebody who got it, and I saw it and I smelled it and thought, I need to eat that. And now it is one of my very favorite things. It's absolutely delicious. So, uh, and that's an item for brunch that you can go ahead and request that.
So that is my number 1. Uh,
Whoa, because it's so
it
good.
is so good. I'm much more of a savory eater than I am sweet, which is why the souffle was my number 2, and this is my number 1. I was with this group with you guys the first time that I tried it, and, we ordered several of them throughout the table and split them all, but it is really good. I love cheese in general and a good cheese, and goat cheese was one of my favorite toppings for pizza, and so this wasn't anything to think of as unique to just try a different type of cheese on there, but the grape really, um, since they've baked it, just the flavor tones that notes that come out of the grapes that combine with the gorgonzola, and I think there's a balsamic drizzle on there as well, and it's wonderful flavors. Be sure to ask for it. You will not again, it's not on the menu, you will not see it on the menu, just ask your server if they're able to make that for you, but it's my number 1.
We can't guarantee they'll be able to, but if they are able, they will.
Mhm. And then order 5 because you
Right,
will
and
like it
order
that
them all.
much.
I will foot stomp that. It is delicious, and it's not at all something I thought I would like, and nothing about that sounds good to me on the surface, but when I tried it, I said, "Oh my goodness, it really does work together." And they took it off the menu, I don't know how many years ago, 7 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, and it was hugely popular. When it went away, people were outraged, rightfully so because it was so good, and so pretty quickly, they brought it back as a secret menu item, off menu item that you can ask for, and some servers will suggest it to you. And they so I would assume that means it's not always available, but I've never had it not be available, but it definitely is possible it might not be available at times.
Yeah.
But my number 1 is the chocolate soufflé. It is worth
No way.
I know. I know. It is worth the price of admission for Palo. It's delicious. I love it. It is one of my top 2 favorite desserts that I ever have, and so, I love it. They do such a good job with it.
So, one of my favorite desserts ever, anywhere in the world, is also there and is my number one, and it is not the chocolate souffle. It is a dessert that's available at brunch, not dinner, and it's like a lava cake, a hazelnut chocolate lava cake that is absolutely delicious. The fudginess in the inside, I would just continue to lick the spoon until there was nothing left, and then just could sit there wondering, can I lick my plate here? Would How inappropriate would it be? I know, like, if I wait till nobody's looking, I know cameras will catch me. Will everyone in the world end up seeing this happen? It's that good. I absolutely love it. I think the chocolate souffle is a delicious dessert, but I don't really love it. I love the hazelnut chocolate lava cake that's available at
Yeah.
brunch.
And
So that's my number one.
I would like to clarify, it's not the chocolate is not hazelnut because I do not like hazelnuts. I
It's
don't like
not. I was thinking it was.
it's the ice cream. The
No.
ice cream that they put on the side is
Okay.
and so
Okay.
it is, so it makes it so if you don't like nuts, I ordered that same dessert with vanilla ice cream, and it's
Hmm.
delicious. But you can it normally comes with the hazelnut.
Okay. That makes sense then. Okay. All right. Well, that was a pretty good top five. Pretty delicious.
Yeah, now I'm hungry, so I need to get on a cruise.
That's right. Oh boy. All right. Moving into this week's question of our week, our listener question. We have someone who wants to know if their magic band will work aboard Disney Cruise Line, and if it's worth bringing that on board with them. So, if you have a Magic Band Plus from Walt Disney World, that type of band will work on board Disney Cruise Line. It has to be the type of band that lights up and recharges. It is not the previous version that has the puck that comes out or the really old one that doesn't even have a puck. It's the newest light up version. Those are the type of magic bands that will work on a Disney Cruise Line ship. And you'll need to make sure you have them programmed when you arrive at the terminal. It's the easiest way to do it. So have it with you when you board in your carry-on bag so that you could have them program it when you check in at the terminal. If it doesn't work, they can get that corrected at guest services at any time. But it's definitely handy to have for opening your stateroom door if you're someone who doesn't mind wearing a magic band and you don't have to worry about fumbling around in your bag to find your key card or wearing a lanyard with it, then certainly go ahead and take your Magic Band Plus on your Disney cruise with you.
Or take your Magic Band Plus and take it to Walt Disney World afterwards. So you can use them at both.
Perfect.
And I agree. I think they are 100% worth it. I don't like wearing a lanyard around my neck for a long period of time. And I don't want to take anything and put it in my pockets because let's face it, it could fall out easily. So um, I did take that one. I did take a Magic Man Plus on the Dream, and I did have to go to guest services, and just it took 2 minutes for them to activate it and get everything set up. But it was so nice, and it was just so convenient, and it worked very similarly to how they do at Walt Disney World. No lightning lanes, but I was able to use it to pay for things on board or to hand it to our servers to pay for extra menu items or anything like that. So I loved the convenience of having it.
And they are called Disney bands. It's a Disney Band Plus on Disney Cruise Line,
Yeah,
not a Magic Band. So basically the
that is
same thing, but different names. So I think that's where maybe some of the confusion comes in, and where this listener was a little bit confused on that. So we appreciate that question. And if you have any questions for us or even any comments on anything we've discussed, you can reach out to us at one of our two email addresses, a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. You can also join in the conversation over on some social media platforms. We do have a group on Facebook called the Disney Life Podcast. That's our group for all of our listeners to join, and we'll post a couple little things a few times a week, explaining what we're chatting about in our podcasts and continuing some conversation there. And we also have an Instagram that you can follow, a Disney Life Pod. Today's tip of the week involves both Walt Disney World Resort and Disney Cruise Line. If you are traveling on a cruise out of Port Canaveral and you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort prior to your cruise, there is a great option available for transfers to the port. You could let Disney Cruise Line handle your luggage right from your Disney World hotel and take you directly to the port so that you don't have to be worried about how to make that hour drive yourself or using another transfer service. I think the best part about this option is that Disney Cruise Line will often assign you a pretty early boarding group time if you're using their transfers. So they'll schedule the time to pick you up right at your Disney World hotel and often give a pretty early boarding group, which is at this point usually around boarding group 3 or something around that. So it's much better than if you had arranged your own transportation and weren't able to get a much higher boarding group. So it is a great advantage to let Disney take care of the worries of how to get from Disney World to Port Canaveral for your cruise, and get on board a little bit earlier too.
All right, and that's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us for this episode, a very special episode talking about all things Palo. We hope that we've inspired you to get out of the main dining room on your next Disney cruise. Tammy, thank you so much for being here with us. We do appreciate just your insight and your knowledge into Disney Cruise Line, and it's always fun to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Please be sure to check out her book. Again, you can pre-order the next for 2026 Unofficial Guide to Disney Cruise Line on Amazon now. And that's all we have for today. We'll see you next week.